Most people know about diseases such as cancer or AIDS, but how many of you know about the disease multiple sclerosis? Imagine suddenly experiencing this onset of strange symptoms that none of the doctors could seem to explain. Unfortunately, those who experience multiple sclerosis know this all too well. As a child of a parent with multiple sclerosis, I have seen firsthand the effects of this disease of the central nervous system. Many are unaware of the existence of multiple sclerosis. It is more common than you might think, however. You might be thinking, what is MS? I hope to answer that question and tell you about the risk factors, symptoms, treatment options, and prognosis. What is multiple sclerosis, which I will be referring to interchangeably as MS? MS is a disease that affects the central nervous system. Specifically, in patients with MS, the body attacks its own tissues. This is a characteristic of an autoimmune disease. Multiple sclerosis destroys myelin, which is the sheath that surrounds the nerve fibers. This in turn affects areas of the body that control movement and sensations. Think about it this way. If electrical cords have their insulation missing, then the wires can become frayed and damaged. Who has multiple sclerosis and what are the risk factors? Doctors do not fully understand why people have multiple sclerosis. There may be somebody you know that has MS, and there are quite a few people out there who are struggling with this disease. Celebrities that most of us know, including Montel Williams, Jack Osbourne, and Clay Walker, all have MS. Though these are all men, MS is actually twice as much common in women than men, especially between the ages of 20 to 40. Though it can occur at any age. MS is found more in Caucasians than any other race. Certain conditions such as a virus as well as geographical location can all have an influence on the onset of this disease. Now that one knows the risk factors, one may be wondering what the symptoms are. A common initial symptom is the sudden onset of symptoms, such as blurred vision, usually occurring in just one eye or one side of the body, balance problems, numbness in one or both limbs. I can remember a couple instances in which my dad had an attack of MS. One winter night, he began having these chills, uncontrollable in the car, even with the heat going full blast. This is very prevalent in patients with MS who experience periods of extreme sensitivity to heat or extreme cold conditions. Another time he lost vision in just one eye and had numbness on the same side of the body. After several visits to the doctor with no clear answer, he was referred to a neurologist who ran a series of tests and determined he had MS. There's an array of other symptoms associated with this disease as well. Other symptoms include lack of concentration, memory loss, blurred vision, clumsiness, tingling in the limbs, and sensations in your neck when you move your head, like electrical sensations. In more severe cases, this disease can become very debilitating and the person may have trouble walking or lose complete control of walking ability. Since it often mimics other conditions, doctors often run a series of tests in order to determine if the patient is suffering from MS or another condition. One of the initial tests performed by doctors is the evoked potential test. This test measures electrical signals sent by your brain in response to stimuli, which I got from the Mayo Clinic. What this test does is detect nerve damage. Another test performed is called the MRI, which stands for magnetic resonance imaging. The test uses radio waves and magnetic imaging to reveal lesions which may appear due to myelin loss. Once these tests are done and the patient is diagnosed, the treatment can begin. There is no cure for MS yet and it is not known whether there will ever be one. There are treatment options, however, that can improve the quality of life of patients. Some patients receive injections that can be delivered to their home. There is always research being conducted, and I found that there are scientists researching an antibody that promotes remyelination, which would be the building up of myelin, which when tested in lab rats. Rodriguez in 2013. The prognosis or long term of the disease varies. Some may just have one attack and never have one again. Others may have relapses, just like when cancer patients go into remission. The severity of attacks vary as well. Some may experience a mild form, while others may be affected so severely that their lifestyle is altered to adapt to their medical needs. Though there is no cure, proper treatment can improve the patient's quality of life. Multiple sclerosis is a debilitating disease of the central nervous system that can have a major impact on the patient's quality of life. It is not well known as other common conditions, but it's important for those who are diagnosed or know someone who has been diagnosed to learn the symptoms, treatment options, and prognosis of the disease. Research is always being conducted, and little by little, researchers are able to put together the pieces of the puzzle to understand and perhaps even cure this complex disease.